Okay, today we're going to make some birds. I'm going to show you how to make simple graphic birds from real pictures or pictures of real birds. All right. So I'm going to show you the birds, and first I want you to try these yourself while um, one more student, Ruhan, has to still join. So I want you to just take 5 minutes and try to draw this bird yourself. Anyhow you want to. It doesn't have to look absolutely perfect. It can, you just draw a beak, a head, an eye, and let's see how that looks. And then I can show you how I do it. And there are many ways in which you can draw the bird. It depends on how you want to make your style. So I'm going to first, if I show you just my style, then we will never discover what you can make, right? So try drawing it. You don't have to paint it right away. Just make the line work. And then as soon as Rohan joins, I'll show you how to make it my way. And then maybe you can mix the two styles together and come up with something of your own. Is that okay? So I have this bird, I have a sparrow, I have a toucan, and I have a hoopoe. Which one would you like to make first?
Sparrow.
Sparrow? All right, let's make the sparrow. Great. Yes, Abhi.
Can you please see mine?
Yes, let's see yours.
Ma'am.
Okay. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Do you want to make the feathers now on the bird?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ma'am, what are we doing?
Hi, Rohan. We are making birds today. We were just waiting for you while, and in the time, the other students were making their own way of making birds. So now that you're here, we'll just wait for Vivan to finish, and then we'll make, I'll show you how to make the birds as well.
Ma'am, what did we do last class?
Last class, we made faces. We made some people and faces. Nobody attended last class. There was a new student. She was the only one in class. And I don't know where she is today. So I don't know what's happening.
I'll check it out.
Yes. I uploaded? I might not have uploaded it yet, but I'll do that. Okay. Are you done, Vivan? More or less?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh,
I'll just show it to you.
yes. I'm just going to stop the share now and you can show me. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Lovely.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So now Abir and Vivan, I'm going to show you how I make birds, and then perhaps you can add that to how you make birds as well. Um, because something with art is that you can learn different techniques from different places, and then you have to pick and choose, or you can add all sorts of stuff, and depending upon what you feel like doing every day or every time you make something, you can use that technique. All right. So I'll show you. I'm just going to draw a few lines on this bird. Maybe we can do the toucan first. Right. So the way I start is to figure out some kind of proportions in the reference image. So usually what I'm drawing right now is something that I make invisible lines on the drawing to see how this looks. So I always start with some basic shapes, like I will start with a circle and I'll fit the head in some kind of circle. Yeah. Then this can help me get some direction. So I divide the circle in half. Vertically and half horizontally. So this starts creating what's called a grid. So now we have the circle in orange, and I've divided it vertically and horizontally in half. And then wherever needed, I'll divide it further. Like I will divide the right side in half again. So I know where the eye comes. The eye comes exactly at this point, which is in the top right pie shape. Yeah. And then from this point here, I can also draw the beak. And the line of the beak, now it can go, how do I tell what is the angle? So I mark the angle according to the face of a clock. Like if I draw a line going in this direction, it will be going in the 3 o'clock direction, right? If I draw it over here, it'll be going to the 6 o'clock direction. And then somewhere in between, there will be 5 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So looks like this beak is coming towards 4 o'clock. So this helps me to draw the next shape. So how far is this line going? So I measure it according to the circle that I have made. This circle. So I can make a circle about the same size to see if it fits somewhere over here, about the same size. This may be one and a little more, sorry, a little less than the whole circle. I'm trying to make them the same size. I'm going to draw all this so you don't have to remember any of this. So this gives me some direction of how long it goes. And the body also goes about the same distance, right? This is one circle and the other circle. Oh, it's too big. Yeah. So somewhere over here, I will have the body. So everything can be measured like that. It helps us to figure out space and distances and everything. All the circles can be cut into halves and quarters and eighths so that you get line, direction, distance. And see now this part of the body is about 1.5 circle. This part of the body is 1.5 circle on this side. So this circle plus about a little bit less than half of it. So I'm going to share this picture also with you. But I'm going to draw this. So you can draw it with me. We have an orange circle, blue circle, and 4 white circles. And see if that helps you to draw the bird as well. So we'll draw it once like this. And then the next bird, we will draw it a little more fun and abstract. One second, I'm just going to share this picture for me to see. And it's there on the group, so you can see it at a later date as well. Now, these lines that we make first are going to be guidelines, and guidelines should be a little light. So I'm starting off with one circle here, very light. Okay, you want to start drawing with me? So we draw this one circle. Below that, we draw the same circle, the same size. And try to make it the same size. So Abir, even if you make a circle like that, a little bit light, that's also good. Don't make it too dark. So our bird is going to be this 3 circles long. Now I've drawn a line running straight through. Then I'm going to draw a line running horizontally through the top circle, the middle circle, and the last circle. And it's extending a little bit. See, on all sides, we have to extend it. So these things you should be able to draw easily freehand, and try to not erase anything right now. After we draw our bird, we will erase a lot of these lines. Now on the top circle, on the right-hand side, see where you can draw one line on the right, which will cut this in half, just the right hemisphere in half, and then the top hemisphere in half as well. Okay, so now we get 2 points. We get this point and we get this line. So the eye of the bird is going to come here and the beak is going to come here. So from this point, we draw a line which is not at 3 o'clock, not at 6, not at 5, but at 4. And let it go pretty far, because on this line, we have to draw 2 circles about the same size. Now, we don't really have to draw the whole circle. We can just measure the circle and draw an outline, just the dot. So our beak doesn't come all the way till here. Our beak stops somewhere after this one circle is done. It stops somewhere over here, just at about half the distance of one full circle, or even a little less will be fine. And on this side, on the second circle, we will mark a point on the left, which is half the circle. So mark a line vertically here and mark a line on this vertically on the right-hand side. So now in this shape, we will be able to make our bird. All right, so I'm going to share the picture of the bird one more time for you to see whether your circles and all the guidelines are matching. Now, all my guidelines are in. We have the orange circle and the lines cutting them, then the blue lines cutting them, a white line for the beak, 2 circles on the beak, of which 1.5 circle is the size of the beak, and then 2 circles, white circle straight below, which would be the body. All right, now let's start with the real thing. So first thing to do, everything now is plotted on this shape. So the first thing to do would be to first draw the beak. So our beak starts from here, goes through this point and comes down somewhere over here. It's not a straight line, it's a curve like this. So you can draw a straight line also, that's fine. And then from the bottom, it goes down and then a little straight and comes and joins this point that we have made as the end of the beak. And then from the other side, this is a nice round shape that comes all the way around, round, and comes and touches the front like this. So it's a very big, long, roundish beak from the top. Now from this point, where we had drawn the middle of the beak, we draw a line as a curve coming down and joining the tip. And this completes our beak. All right. Now, in this top half, we have to make the eye. So the eye of the bird is like this. You make a circle, and then around that also you make a small circle. That is a membrane with which the eye is protected. Like we've got lids, that is the membrane, and the lid is inside that. Yes, Abir?
I just already made the eye.
Okay, that's okay. If you know and you made the eye, that's perfectly fine. Now, the way I see it, as we go along, I'm going to be making more guidelines. So we'll make a line somewhere over here, which is half of the right part of the second circle over here. And then we will mark a line somewhere at the half point at the bottom over here. And one line over here. So our toucan has a yellow part that doesn't go up to the top of the circle. It goes just on top of the eye. It's all round lines. From here, it comes like a rounded line to this side, not the end, a little inside. And here we are going to draw lines like this, which are straight lines. So they look like feathers. And you take this line all the way up like that and join from the bottom like this. See at this point where we had drawn the half point line here. This is the center line. This is the end of the circle and this is the half point. Now where the two circles join, to the left edge of that, we will draw the head. So the head now comes all around the top of the circle and comes and joins at this point. Now we draw the body. The black body of the toucan below the head is almost the same size as the top of the head. So you mark that below over here at the end of the circle. And from this side now, from the left side, we have a wing. The wing comes down straight and it goes around the body. And from the other side, around the same spot, we have the other part of the body come and join here. This is the body of the bird. Now I made this little hook shape here because I'm going to draw its legs. And from the other side also, I'm going to draw the legs. Now we'll draw the talons a little bit later. But now very lightly, we will put a branch underneath where the foot is. And here you can draw the talons like that. So you will have 3 talons coming in the front and they round behind the branch. So the second and the third can come here. And one can come here. And now we can make that branch fairly dark. Now, a bird is pretty useless without its tail. So we are going to draw a long tail underneath the bird, but it's not there in the picture. So I'm going to just create this long tail underneath and round it off. So even the tail is about the size of the body. Mine has become a little short because there's no room. And that's the bird done. Now, the best bit about this bird is the colorful beak. So before we make any more details, You can use the eraser now and erase very carefully just the guidelines. Make sure no other lines get erased. So if you've drawn the guidelines nice and light, they will quickly come off. And if your lines are a little too dark, then never mind, we will paint the bird. So then the lines won't be visible at all. Okay, now for the beak, just at the tip of the beak, we make this zigzag shape. This is going to be a red part and a little zigzag at the bottom also. And then a V shape over here that's going to be orange colored. And then funnily enough, this bird has got some V-shaped dark patches on the beak that almost look like it's got blue colored teeth. Some at the bottom, some at the top. They overlap the orange. All right, now I'm going to show you a trick to make the eyes look like they're alive. This is what I do. I want you to draw this in rough first. So we have a circle and then we have another circle for the membrane, right? So for all eyes, whether it's birds or animals or even people, this is what you do. You first make an oval shape on the top part of the eye. This is going to be the highlight. This will always be blank and white. Then you will make a part of a circle that looks like it is right in the center of the circle. This part will be colored dark. This is called the pupil. And then whatever color you have, that you can paint afterwards. So let's do that in our bird over here also. Let's make the eye in pencil. Nice and dark. That's it. So it starts looking alive. All right, shall we paint the bird? I'm going to share the picture of the bird so we can paint it. Now look at your design and look at the reference image with the guidelines. Is your picture looking somewhat like this? It doesn't have to look 100% like this, but anywhere close to a toucan and not a sparrow, or even if it looks like a bird and not an animal, that's good enough to start with. All right, let's take some 10 minutes and paint this. When you're painting, see how all these colors are so light and bright. So paint all of this first, and the blue feet, and then finally the black body. There's also a red patch by his inside his tail. So I've made an oval shape over here. All right, let's paint this together. Is everyone using paints? Abir, what are you using today? Okay, so let's start with a gamboge color, this yellow color. You can also use both these colors. So here's what I do. There's a little bit of green that goes into the eye also, right? So I will paint the eye from a little further away. And I will mix the two yellows. So the bottom part will have slightly deeper, warmer colored strokes. The top will be a little light. And once you've painted, you don't go back. And for the eye, I'm going to use a little bit of this, very little bit of this emerald green. And I'm going to paint it while the eye is still wet. The yellow is still wet. So the colors merge like that. Okay, let me know when you've painted so much and then we will paint the rest.
And for the like yellow part is lemon yellow, right?
Yes, it does look lemon yellow, but I've used a little bit of the gamboge also for the bottom. So you can do something like this. You can write the colors you've used. Make these nice color blotches or swatches. And you will have a color chart that comes with this, with where all the names will be written. So you can write in a very nice label handwriting, lemon yellow, gamboge. So labels are written or labeling is done in a different kind of lettering than your usual handwriting. They're just capital letters or capital and small letters like titles. And also emerald. This way, in the future, if you need to repeat this again, you know what to do. Okay, now if this is done, we'll take a little bit of emerald green and a little bit of lemon yellow and mix them in the palette. So I'm going to mix them over here in the palette. I know there's a little bit of blue, but it won't matter because emerald green will be like this blue and yellow. You can make this color also. So it's very light bluish green color anyway. And we can paint the beak in this color. If you want to, you can leave a little bit of the top of the beak unpainted
Mom,
because there is a highlight there. Yes,
what two colors did you mix?
I mixed gamboge and no, sorry, lemon yellow and emerald green. Though mine has become, my beak has become a lot greener than it should be. So maybe I can take a little bit of cerulean blue. So this is what I do. This is how I cheat. I'll take some cerulean blue and I will, in some places, I will put that. But I like this color also. It looks nice.
You make the emerald green.
Oh, the emerald green is over here. This one. So always remember when you're coloring, if you're coloring with wet paint, ideally don't color neighboring areas too fast because if they're not dry, then one color runs into another, which is fine if you like it that way. Sometimes that looks great. I love when colors run into each other. But that should be something that you want, not something that you have to just resignedly just say, okay, never mind. Now for the legs, I'm using that bright cerulean blue.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I don't have a light blue or cerulean blue.
Which blues do you have?
Only dark blue.
So, do you know the name of the color? What is the dark blue color?
Um, no, not really.
Oh, okay. So I'll tell you what. Take a very little bit of that paint with water and then try painting with just that. So they'll be slightly bluish legs, but they'll look like the bird has got some shadow on the legs. Doesn't matter.
No comment.
Abir, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Doing okay?
Yep.
All right. Okay, now my green over here has dried. So I'm using scarlet. And this time I've shifted to a smaller brush now, because now everything is going to be in small sizes. I should have used a small brush for the feet also. But I'm quite comfortable with a big fat brush also, so I don't really mind. But you can choose the brush according to the area that you have to fill. So what do we know about the toucan? Do you know where this bird comes from?
Ma'am, and I think in like tropical rainforests or something.
Hmm. Have you seen Rio?
I think so. So it's about that bird who's trying to get out of that home.
Yes, I think so. Either trying to get out or trying to get back home to his person. And what is the bird species? It's a blue colored bird, right?
I think
It's
it's
a
like
thing.
a parrot.
Yeah, so we must find out. So toucans are also, yes, tropical birds. My toucan's head has become very round. It's not this round, but it's okay. Usually, when something like that occurs, just before painting, you should check if you're getting the right shape. I think I'm going to change the shape of my toucan's head and make it slightly flatter. We'll use the same red over here for its tail. Just a part of the tail is red.
Ma'am, that color for the tail is scarlet only, right?
Yes, I'm using scarlet, yeah. And there is a little bit of red over here also. So we can give some feathery red color over here, very little bit. I'm making this a little bigger because I'm going to cover this up with black. Not all of it, but quite a bit. Now, the thing with watercolor is if you paint just one layer, the paint becomes, when it dries, it becomes light. So here's the trick that I use. After all the coloring is done, you can use a second layer of paint in some places. And that is where you can add some shadows. So I'm using the same scarlet, along with this light red, which is right next to it. I'm making a color here, which I'm going to paint just on the edge of the top of the beak. And maybe the bottom. That looks like there's a shadow there.
Ma'am, your coloring always comes out like so cleanly. Like if I look at mine and yours, like even if I try to be really careful with it, yours just comes out really cleanly and direct.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what I do. First is I've had years of practice, but here's the thing. I hold my brush very firmly, but when I'm applying the paint, I glide my brush smoothly. So let's see if your theory is good. This is how I paint. So I don't paint like this, like how we color with color pencils or crayons. So I try to give smooth strokes and very lightly. And then I don't fiddle with it. Once it's colored, I don't fiddle with it till it dries. After it dries, then I can put in a second color. Again, hold the brush firm, but when you're painting, make it smooth. It should be it's like a dance. It's very simple.
For that beak part, it's gamboge or
This one is gamboge and orange.
orange is the one right under gamboge. Got it.
Yes. So I have just written all the colors that we have used, and then some of them we have just mixed together, but I'm not writing the mixture. One also, this is light red. And all these colors will look very different in the daytime. Okay, now before we paint the black part, I'm going to turn my book around because everything is wet there. And with a tiny brush, I am going to, this is such a tiny brush. This is a 0 number brush. Oh, this is a 2 number brush. Look at how tiny the brush is. I am going to paint the eye a deep blue color. So I will use this cobalt blue, but not too much of it. See, just so much. Because the eye is so tiny, you don't want to waste too much color. So just take this little bit in the smallest brush that you have. Now, if you don't have a very small brush, then you can use color pencils for this part. So that way you can control your painting. And then carefully paint just the circle outside of that highlight. Remember, we made the highlight. So this takes a little bit of practice, but you should be able to do it if you do it slowly. I'm going to make our highlight like this. Yes. See how alive the eye looks with this. You should try this funny trick. You should try making eyes like this and go and put them on things inside the house. 2 eyes, or 1 eye, or maybe 3 eyes. And just put them on stuff like in your fridge or in a cupboard. So if somebody opens the cupboard, they have this like ketchup bottle staring back at them. It can be very, very funny. I
Ma'am,
had that once.
so something like that happened to me. I mean, so basically, one time I showed my sister this photo of this Marvel character,
Uh-huh.
and like he's like a big egg. He looks like an egg. So my sister printed out a photo and stuck it right above my bed. You can
Oh my
kind of
God.
see it in my camera, like near the fan fan. There's like a picture
There's
on
a
the wall.
picture of an egg character.
Yeah.
Oh my God, where is it? I can't.
Near my fan. You can see it.
Your fan is up on the ceiling. Is it on the ceiling?
Yeah. So sometimes I wake up seeing it.
That is really funny. Okay, next. We have to use the same color and the same brush to paint these blue teeth-like shapes. Now they're not very dark. They're checking if my color is all dry. See, this is wet. This orange is wet. I could have just smudged it by mistake. So I'm turning this back around and I'm painting these blue shapes. So this can be very light and watery also. And again, this one, because this color is so light on the beak, you can use color pencils for this. Now all our multicolor parts are done. So now we can color the whole bird in black, the rest of the bird. So in order to color the black part properly, I recommend first take out a little bit of paint at every point. And what I do is every now and then I keep adding color to this pool of black. You can use a fat brush for the large sections like this, but don't go too close to the edge. And then you can use a small brush like this to paint the details. So just the outline of that area. That way you can always be in control. And the best bit is over here, if you can do it, just make the tip of your brush, make a few lines come outside. So it looks like the toucan's hair is standing out. So big fat brush for the large areas and a small brush for the small areas. So you can control the line. And then at some point, you can also try making the fine lines with the fat brush also. Because if your fat brush has got a good tip, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to make all the shapes and paint the entire thing with a fat brush. So this part near the neck, see, I'm not making a flat line there. I call these kinds of lines fences. So you just make a lot of lines next to each other. And you can also have them go upwards into the red. So it looks like feathers. And this part now you can practice painting smoothly. Don't go back and forth like pencils or crayons. Smoothly paint. In one, like a continuous progression of the strokes. And if in some places you feel the color is light, wait till your whole section dries and then paint it. See, over here it became a little too light. Maybe I took too much water. Even here. So this technique of first drawing some guidelines is very helpful for drawing absolutely anything. You can imagine whatever you want, as long as you can see some small basic shapes that you can hold on to and draw. Literally anything in the world can be drawn, even out of this world can be drawn. Now, always remember, whenever you're using watercolor, use the palette. It's a very helpful tool. Take color in the palette, roll it around to see how thick your paint is, how much water there is, and only after you're confident, then you can start painting. If you take the color directly from the cake, sometimes you have too much water, sometimes you have too much paint, things become too wet or too dry, and then they're just terrible. So to avoid that, always test out on paper. Oh, sorry, in your palette. Now I'm going to do a trick over here. Now that I have this light color, instead of painting it dark black, I'm going to make these lines to make it look like feathers. So I've built in a little bit of texture in the painting, even though it is dark. And I'm sure its feathers are not so tiny, but at least it looks interesting. And you don't really need to do this if if your color is nice and dark, leave that. Lovely. Now, if you want to, you can paint the bark a brown color after everything else dries, or you can just leave it like that so that the bird looks more prominent. So one last thing that I would like to do, the pencil in the eye has now become very light because of the blue color that we painted. So that part I'm going to paint with a thin pen. I'm going to paint it black. So it looks like the eye can see. And with the same cerulean blue or this blue color that we have that we used for the teeth-like shape, I am going to make two C-shaped lines around the eye. One on this side and one on this side. That's it. I think my bird is done. Wait. Oh, there's one more line. Around the peak, there's one more line. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I think I'm moving a little too fast, am I? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes before I do the last part, the black line around the beak. Then we should be done. Are you done, Rohan?
Yeah, ma'am.
Oh, wonderful. So let's make the title page over here. Now that my bird has used up so much space, I am going to write Toucan, and then I'm going to write a little bit about the bird. So when you want to write something in a straight line, I know it can be very difficult. So I use paper tape like this one. Yes, Vivaan?
Is it okay if I get my other brush for
Yeah,
drawing?
yeah, go ahead. So I use a paper tape, but if you don't have a paper tape handy, you can just use paper. You can just keep it flat there and hold that, but don't draw any lines if you can help it. And in this now, I will write This is too big, the letters will become too big and ugly. I have to make sure that this is horizontal. So this is how I test. I check on my pencil what is the distance from one end, and then what is the distance on the other end. More or less okay. So now I'm going to write toucan. That's T O, very light. U C A N. And check if that looks okay. Now with a medium sized brush like this. So Abir, you don't do this right now. Don't do the writing. You can finish the bird if you're still on that. And I love writing my letters with scarlet. So I'm just taking a brush and making the letters with that. So for lettering, you must write all the letters very slowly, especially if you're writing with a brush. So the brush takes some time to turn. You can make vertical and horizontal lines or diagonal lines very easy. And always try to make the lines come downward. Like for the C, I made a line go right and then down from the left, and from here again, I will make it come down. Then it's a lot better. And once this is done, I will put the tape back in the back of the book to use another time. Or I can also put the tape over here and write in the information about the toucan inside this block. Now put it very carefully so I don't touch the wet paint. Now that everything is dried, I have to erase this line on the top. And now the last part at the beak. Remember, I had to draw this. I'm going to make a line that on the beak, on the inside of the beak, that comes and joins the bottom of the beak over here to the body. I think that should do it. Maybe there's one more thin line that comes all the way to tip. Yes, that looks better. As you can see, I enjoy doing this so much. You can keep doing it all day and all night. How are your birds looking?
It's looking fine.
Looking fine. Okay, so what do you say about this technique? Do you like it? And I know it can be a little complicated.
Ma'am, it's really nice, but even it's simplifying everything, but I think you could simplify it a little more. Like instead of making so many lines and circles, you could just make, oh shoot. You can make one circle for the head and then like a couple of lines for the beak and then like construct it like that.
Great, I can do that, yes. Abir, how did you like the technique of drawing guidelines, and were you able to make the bird nicely enough? Because your sparrow was very nice anyway. Yes, Abhi.
Can you
Yes, yes. Show me. Okay, very nice. Oh, good. Now you're going to write the word toucan there. So, Abir, in your case, write the word below, just underneath the neck of the bird. You have more space there. So, underneath the beak.
यहाँ पे लगा लो तुम ये. Then you can do it with this guideline जैसे मैम ने बताया तुमको. To do this. इसको बेस बना सकते हो. यहाँ तक ज्वाइन कर दो नीचे तक. और ऊपर का यहाँ पे जो है TOU.
All right. What do we, oh, so next week we don't have class. Because it's the 5th week. Usually I do have class, but next week I will be away during the day and I might not come back in time for our class. So next week will be a holiday for us. Then the week after that will be the 6th of October. Do you have any thoughts on what we should do?
Ma'am, I might not come on the 6th.
Okay.
Or I might. That's just a might because my exams are gonna start on the 11th. So I'm just thinking maybe I might not come, but I'll most probably come.
Okay. All right. So any thoughts, Vivan, do you have any thoughts on what you'd like to do on the 6th?
We can probably do some flowers, like
Flowers?
tulips or orchids.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
We can do like tulips or orchids or flowers.
Okay, we can do tulips or orchids. I love those.
Ma'am, we could also like study like maybe hands and like do different things holding hands and like use your old checker like human stuff and then like make people like that with hands.
Okay, so after the 6th, on the 13th, let's make hands. Will you be able to come on the 13th? Okay, yes, Abir?
Can I leave?
Yes, yes, you may leave. Will you please share a picture of your toucan on the group?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah. Goodbye.
bye everyone. I will see you on the 6th now.
Bye, ma'am.
And Vivan, I'm going to see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. See you then. Bye.
Bye bye.